Hello, everybody. Welcome to a very special movie review. And by very special, I mean it's because it's literally 20 minutes since we saw it. So this is going to be a special, super quickly uploaded review of X-Men Days of Future Past. I'm Matt.
I'm Chris.
And we're the NOLAnerds reviewing the latest X-Men movie. Right off the bat, this was probably out of all the major summer movies. Like Guardians of the Galaxy is an unknown quantity, just because it's such a departure from previous Marvel films. But X-Men, the later X-Men movies have always been very divisive, if not outright just disappointing. Everything since X3, so X3, Origins Wolverine, those are just universally bad. First Class was a mixed bag for some, and then the Wolverine is very divided. So this one coming out, we got a lot of X3 vibes from, but we've seen it now. So right off the bat, Chris, what did you think?
I thought it was excellent. I think
so excellent.
Yeah, I think it's definitely bumped its way up the X-Men film hierarchy tree to 2 or 1.
Yeah, like, all right. We've promised to try in our reviews to not be too spoilery, so I'm not going to get into the specifics, but we're just going to say this movie, while it also stands on its own, also, to use the time traveling metaphor, since it does a lot, goes back in time and erases the most horrible missteps of X3.
Fixes them.
It's a retcon. The entire movie can be looked at as a retcon of X-Men movie history, and it's fantastic.
Yeah, X3 is the one I think that gives the most people the most trouble.
Yeah,
just because it is such a terrible movie, and it really
ruined a lot.
It's very disgraceful to the history of the characters. And what Days of Future Past does is it takes those horrible mistakes, and it's just like, no.
Yeah,
no,
didn't happen.
Didn't happen.
Time travel.
So,
suck it.
So all those horrible things that happened and how clumsily they happened, it's fixed.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Doesn't matter anymore.
And that's such a small part of the movie. So, but I just wanted to get that out there. That is one of the best things this film did.
Mm-hmm.
Was that. So let's get into this movie is split into 2 parts. There's the future storyline where we have the Ian McKellen and Patrick Stewart versions of Professor X and Magneto, and then we have Hugh Jackman and an assortment of other mutants living in this post-Sentinel apocalyptic world. And then we have the 1970s storyline where it's the younger versions with Fassbender and McAvoy and Jessica Lawrence and Hugh Jackman again and a couple other mutants. And the 2 stories intersperse sometimes.
Yep.
But for the most part, so it gives us the future scenes I enjoyed so much. Because they were the big fight scenes for the most part, where we got to see the mutants versus the Sentinels. Whereas the past scene was more plot-based and moving the story forward in some character moments.
Yeah.
But, man.
Yeah, the ratio is split about 80-20 between the past and the future.
Mm-hmm.
The future is definitely where most of the visual effects budget went.
Oh,
just the way that the Sentinels work in the future and all the powers that they have, like Bishop and Blink.
If you are a DC fan, then the future Sentinels are very OMAC-y, where because they can adapt to the mutants they're fighting and take them out more efficiently, and that creates some really, really gruesome death scenes.
Horrific death scenes.
Like, surprisingly.
Like, I can't believe they showed that on a film.
Right. I mean, now, I don't count this as a spoiler because it's in the opening scene, but in the future, they get a couple do-overs. Yeah. I'm not going to get into the specifics of, well, actually I will because it doesn't matter. So we get several horrific death scenes, but man, so the future mutants are made up of Bishop, who we are both surprised is not a time-traveling screw-up.
Nope, not yet.
Warpath, who I thought looked really cool and was awesome.
Yeah, he was kind of there. He didn't do a ton, but
Colossus and Iceman.
Awesome.
reprising their roles. We got Iceman with some slide. That was cool. Sunspot. So that was a good visual effect. And then my favorite, Blink.
Blink was amazing.
Blink visually. You made the Portal joke because you have to.
It's an easy joke.
But man, because Blink, in terms of mass audiences, they don't really know her. But I think a lot of people are going to become fans after this movie just because her powers are so cool and were used so well in the fights.
Yeah.
And in the past, it's Beast, Mystique, Magneto, Professor X, Wolverine.
That's exactly right. I actually really enjoyed the past stuff a lot.
It was very well done.
It's really well done. They have a lot of really great actors doing stuff. Fassbender. There's McAvoy playing a heroin-ish addicted,
just the strung-out, druggy Professor X.
Strung-out Professor X. Peter Dinklage is amazing. And,
Mr. Trask. He was really good.
And it's one of those things to note because a lot of people know him from Game of Thrones and stuff, but he doesn't carry himself like a little person. His presence is so powerful that he commands attention wherever he is on screen.
And it's also, I think, worth noting that they don't even. It's not even an issue. Like
no one brings it up.
It doesn't need to be brought up. But I'm glad they don't. They don't even make a passing mention of it.
Nope.
It's just he's a character in the show. Deal with it.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. But he knocks it out the park. He plays it really well.
He's really, really good.
I thought for being essentially a hired thug of sorts, the young Will Stryker did really good. His face conveyed a lot of rage.
He's all right. I didn't.
I mean, they didn't give him much to do.
I didn't get a lot from him. I mean, he was there to be Will Stryker.
Yeah, he was there to hate mutants,
and he did.
We also got an explanation for why several of the first-class mutants don't make appearances, even though we got Havoc. So that was something I was always wondering about, and they address it, which is nice.
There's a lot of stuff that happened between First Class and now.
It's been 10 years.
It's very interesting.
You get little snippets of it, and you get to piece it together yourself. It's really nicely done. But basically, the redemption of Professor X, or Charles at that time, and Wolverine did a really good job. Hugh Jackman doing. I mean, I usually am down on him just because he's too overused, but I thought he wasn't the main focus this time. It was split nicely between everyone, so I didn't get annoyed by his overbearing presence.
This might be his best acting job in an X-Men movie ever.
So what you're saying is the amount of veins on his body directly correlate to his acting ability in the film.
Grotesque.
Are you saying he's Hugh jacked up?
No, it's a terrible joke. He's grotesque. You could play tic-tac-toe on his bicep where his arm connects to his chest. It's grotesque.
That was the first thing you mentioned. But
you could not see it. They're all throbbing in unison.
All right, so let's talk. The visual effects were fantastic.
Yes,
especially in the future. The fight scenes, even in the past, anything involving Magneto was really well done. But let's talk about the show stealer, especially the past. Blink stole the show in the future. The past was all about Quicksilver.
Yeah, Quicksilver.
And who played Quicksilver? Evan Peters.
Yeah.
I don't know what he was from before. Was he Kick-Ass? He was the dude in Kick-Ass. I don't know.
Scroll down.
I'm scrolling down. We're looking right now. We're live.
Todd.
One Tree Hill.
I think he's Kick-Ass's buddy.
Yeah. But he was really well done. I was really down on him because, it's of the whole controversy between splitting Quicksilver with two different actors between Avengers 2 and this movie. So, by default, I was against this Quicksilver because I wanted him to be Quicksilver in the Avengers. But, man, if he wasn't the most delightful part of the first half of the movie.
He's only in there for like a brief moment, but they do such a really good job of showing off his super speed and
visually their super speed utilization was top notch.
And just the way his character was portrayed was really excellent. Especially even though it was so brief, and I really thought he was going to be in more of the movie. But I really
if only he wasn't so quick. No?
No.
Why not?
Because it's terrible.
It's factual.
It's terrible. You should
Anyway,
be ashamed.
so the entire Quicksilver segment was amazing. Anything in the future, fight scene wise, was amazing. This on screen chemistry of Fassbender and McAvoy as X and Magneto is incredible. They work really well off each other, and Jennifer Lawrence does a great job as Mystique. A much more bitter and world-weary Mystique, who, in a nice nod to the comic, is the catalyst of the terrible Sentinel-filled future. Although it's Trask is her target rather than Senator Kelly this time.
Yep.
But you know. So we really enjoyed almost all of this movie, but there is one glaring giant plot hole that I just can't get over because it's frustratingly vague, and it kind of goes back to the Wolverine, where for no reason did they try and explain the science of that movie. They're like, nope, he can just steal mutant powers, inject it into his suit, now he can heal. For some reason, because they send Wolverine back in time, but we never bothered to ask how that was going to be done. It's Kitty Pryde, Shadowcat. She apparently they're just like, oh, by the way, Kitty Pryde can send Bishop's consciousness back a couple days, and everyone's like, cool, and that she sends Wolverine back. No explanation as to how or why or when did she get that power. I don't believe there's any basis of it in the comics ever.
Not that I can think of. It's a weird thing because it would seem to be more of like I thought it was either going to be a Professor X kind of thing or a Forge that we hadn't seen prior to this.
Yeah, like throw Forge in, and he created this thing that can send someone back a couple of days, but then they send Wolverine back decades because his mind can repair itself.
I guess you've got Ellen Page, might as well use her.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I love Ellen Page. Shadowcat is just it as a movie goer and as a movie, that's its biggest misstep to me because not even a terrible explanation, just nothing. They don't even bring it up. They're just Professor X and Magneto show up. They explain what she can do, and they're all like, "Cool, plan, let's do it." And it's just the whole time I'm sitting there going, "Are they ever gonna tell us why or how?" No, we're just okay, cool.
Oh.
But the more I think about it, the more I realize that's my only real problem with the movie, and that's huge considering the movies it's followed. But it's a big one, and it's one I can't seem to get over too quickly because it's frustrating, like glaringly frustrating. But does it not bother you at all?
I mean, it's an interesting thing I can kind of pick at sometimes, but it didn't detract enough for me to be like mad at it. I like.
It was just every time they cut to the future, and she was doing that. I'm just sitting there like, why? How is this happening? What is this? Even if all they had to do was just say, in the future, Kitty Pryde is a secondary mutation.
Yeah.
Cool, done. That's all.
I mean, I get that, and I do see where you're coming from. It didn't affect me because it just didn't. Which is weird
because you're always the one who can't get over something.
Yeah.
Like that doesn't make sense plot wise, and I'm usually the guy going, yeah, but it's still really fun. And you're like, yeah, but it just.
Yep, we switched places today.
I don't know. I'm pretty sure the more you think about it, I think
Probably.
You're just riding the high right now.
Well, yeah, and it's late, so.
I know you're real good. So what was there anything you don't like about this movie?
No, just. I mean, the only thing I would even nitpick would be the Kitty Pryde thing, and even then, like, it didn't bother me. So
It's not a nitpick. It's a legit plot hole in the movie.
Sure,
but
okay. I mean, it is. I mean, that's what I would nitpick at that. I would
consider
it that.
So then, what would you say were your favorite parts of the movie?
The Quicksilver scene, definitely. Any of the stuff with Peter Dinklage or Michael Fassbender, and actually the final battle between the future X-Men and the Sentinels.
That was really cool. I mean, they even managed to do storm justice.
You know what happens to a mutant who gets stabbed by a Sentinel?
What?
Same thing that happens to everything else.
Yeah. I I liked that the future Sentinels looked a little like Nimrod, and that the past Sentinels looked like classic Sentinels. I thought that was a nice visual touch.
That's a perfect evolution of them.
Yeah, and also and this is something I never thought about. I really like See, they even gave an explanation for how future Sentinels adapt. I thought that was really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Something that I would have just accepted as the future and robots can do that, but they gave you a really legitimate reason for it, and I thought that was cool. And just the whole concept of time travel, and they did it justice. It's hard to do in a movie, especially an action superhero movie, but I think they pulled it off nicely, and it culminates in a really touching series of epilogues that I thought did a really good job.
If they don't make any more X-Men movies, this would be the perfect ending point for them.
And it would be if it was not for the phenomenal stinger at the end of the film. Because we already know what the next film in this. I'm just going to call it a trilogy: the First Class, Days of Future Past, Age of Apocalypse trilogy, and it perfectly sets that film up, and it's really cool.
It's neat. It's a really neat reveal. I'm sure if you Google X-Men, you'll see what the next movie is.
Yeah, I mean, that's not a surprise. They've already been talking about that.
But it was kind of how far they went with it in this thing, because it could have been easily
just show Egypt,
like a Thanos thing, and just not showing them. But they actually showed him in action.
They showed him in action, and I'm assuming it's in the past. That took it.
Looks super past.
Yeah, but that was really awesome. So what else would you like to comment or mention about the film?
Not a whole lot. I think it's a really well done superhero movie. It's definitely up there in terms of all time, and it's definitely probably the best X-Men movie.
It's weird how I'm agreeing with you. I mean, because don't get me wrong, my frustrating my problem with that plot hole aside, that's really all I can find fault with in this movie, and it's just a really enjoyable, entertaining, well-acted movie. I don't know how people that aren't fans of comic book movies will react, because a lot of people like to judge them based on an actual movie criteria.
Mm-hmm.
But as a superhero film, when you base it against its peers in the genre, it's top-notch.
A+.
Which is fantastic. I mean, that means in the past 30 days, we've got, or 2 months, we've gotten Captain America, Winter Soldier, and X2. Days of Future Past, and they've both been amazing.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And Spider-Man, which was good.
Yeah, I mean, but not in the same league as those two. No.
No.
But this one is even more surprising to me because I have been so down on previous X-Men movies, First Class excluded. But the last 5 movies, I've only enjoyed one.
Yeah.
And it's crazy that this one comes out, and it was also the one I was most worried about because it seemed to be repeating X3's mistakes of having too many mutants, too many plots.
It looked like a giant mess.
It did.
Maybe this is just Bryan Singer's way of dropping the mic on Brett Ratner.
Oh my god, it was just
boom. Yo, you put in a bunch of mutants and told this iconic story, and you shit
all over it.
Yeah. So.
But man, kudos, because not only did you completely wipe the bad taste of Wolverine Origins and X3 out of my mouth, but you
fixed them.
You fixed them, and then gave me a movie that I can wholeheartedly recommend to everyone around me.
We can throw X3 in the fire finally.
We can. It's just it doesn't even matter anymore. You don't exist. So
that's the highlight of my night.
Let's wrap it up. What do you give this movie, and would you buy it?
I'm going to give it a 9. I would buy this movie, actually, and I only own First Class.
I don't even own X2. Nope. You love that movie.
I do love X2, but then I would have to buy X3.
I know.
And X1.
That's how I work.
And I'm not willing to do that. But I would definitely buy this on its own.
Oh yeah,
easily.
I give it a 9 as well. I mean, it's top-notch superhero movie.
Yeah.
And it's just
excellent.
The cast is amazing, and we get cameos from everyone that's been in the previous movies.
Yeah.
I mean, You even get Kelsey Grammer as Beast, as adult Beast. We get Anna Paquin as Rogue.
Even Sookit came back.
Yeah, it's good times.
I mean, she's still useless, but she came back.
Still, she's there. Damn it!
I don't know. Does it mean she didn't take the cure?
No, she did because they were holding hands.
Oh,
but I feel
why did that pass? Why is that in the future? You could have fixed that too.
Or maybe she was holding a glove. I don't know. It was a quick scene, but I really dug it. So
I like it. I like it a lot.
Go check it out, guys. I mean, we're not the most objective, and we're not the best at explaining our rationale, other than it's just something I enjoy. But you know what? I feel like in terms of people like us, sometimes that's all you really need to hear about. It's all about if I have a bunch of people that enjoy similar things to me tell me something's good or bad, it helps my judgment. So hopefully we help you. But as it stands, X-Men Days of Future Past is 100% worth your time and money. I'm Matt.
I'm Chris.
And we are the NOLAnerds. And stay tuned for future movie reviews. Check out our upcoming video game coverage for E3 2014. And Chris, why don't you tell them where they can find us on various things?
Well, you can write us an email at NOLAnerdcast@gmail.com for questions and comments. You can follow...
I couldn't hear you.
You can follow us on Twitter
Whoa.
and Facebook at NOLAnerdcast.
Be not a monster for once.
You can view us here, youtube.com/NOLAnerdcast, and rate and review our podcast on iTunes. It helps out the metric and gets us noticed.
Indeed. So, as always, thank you. You're awesome. And thank you again to the Esplanade Theater, the Grand Theater in Esplanade, for allowing us to view this movie.
It's the best.
Thank you very much. You guys have a good night. And just remember to rock it like a raccoon.